Good day, dear teachers. It's the second day of our webinar to enhance our knowledge and skills in script writing. The objective of this webinar is to equip teachers in the necessary skills to deliver functions in the new normal conditions. With me are teachers Beverlyn L. Ramirez and Bernadette Regaton. We will show you how different types of radio programs can be adopted in our radio-based instruction. What are these radio programs? We have music program with the radio DJ, interview program, radio play, news and editorial, and talk show. Later on, we will show you how these programs can be used in RBI. So, let's start. Script writing for various radio programs. Okay. So, if you noticed, dear teachers, ang unang nakasulat doon sa ating mga script are technical terms. Kaya dapat, as script writers, alam natin yung different script writing terms. Dahil ito nga ang nauuna doon sa ating script. Ito po ay hindi sinusulat ng ating technician, ito po ay sinusulat natin as script writers. So number 1, we have biz or BIC. That is business. A script notation calling for vocal or physical effects to be done by the cast or to be done by the technical specialist. Next, we have MSc or music. Under music, we have fade. Fade is a gradual increase or decrease in the level of the audio signal. Okay, so under music, then we have fade, then you need to give another instruction. Is it fade in or fade out or fade under? So, fade in, gradually increase from silence at the beginning. Next, we have fade out, gradually reduce to silence at its end. Then we have fade under, that is fade to bed, if we want our music to be our background. Okay, next we have crossfade, fade one source out while fading another source in at the same time. Then we have SFX in radio, that is sound effects. In script, that is special effects. We can also use FX and SPFX, but the most common is SFX. Next, you should know what is an OBB. When we say OBB, that is opening billboard. It introduces a program or segment. And we also have CBB or closing billboard. It closes a program or a segment. Now, OBB and CBB can be canned. Ano po ang ibig sabihin na ang CBB ay it can be canned? Ito po ay pwedeng recorded. It can be a jingle o kaya yung sinasalita. Pag sinabing jingle, ito po ay po pwedeng kanta katulad ng OBB ng Itbulaga, yung mula Batanes hanggang Hulo, yon. Yon ay kanilang OBB na canned na jingle. Okay. Next, there are two main types of radio scripts. First is music radio script. Ang pangalawa ay ang talk radio script. So, let's take first music radio script. Less spoken passages as your show is based around music. Mostly po, nakafocus ito sa musika. Kaya konti lang po ang sinasabi ng announcer o kaya ng DJ. Paano gagawin yon? You can intervene before or after the music, announcing artist's title, or fun facts, or current news about the artist or music. So in music radio script, you need also to research. Mag-research po tayo about the artist, about the title, facts po about the song may be, or the composer, or ng singer, or current news about the artist or music. Okay. Now, second is the talk radio script. Here, there will be mostly spoken passages as the aim of a talk radio show is to convey information. Okay. So ito po yung lagi nating ginagawa sa mga RBI na po natin ngayon. Our main concern is to convey information. Okay, paano natin maa-adapt ang music, radio, at talk radio program? Alright. Meron akong i-prepare dito na isang aralin. Alright. Ito po ay sa MAPE. Pero bago po tayo mag-decide kung ano ang ating gagamiting type of radio script, tingnan ho muna natin ang ating mga competency. Tingnan po natin ang ating curriculum guide. Okay. For example, sana, sa MAPE, magtuturo si teacher ng MAPE ng classical songs. Okay. So, ngayon, dahil ito ay songs, pwede niyang i-adapt ang music radio type ng program. Ano ang gagawin niya? Kagaya nga ng sinabi natin kanina, magre-research siya tungkol sa classical songs, tungkol sa mga composers, paano ba yan nasulat, paano sinulat, ano ba ang background information about the song. Okay. So, kagaya ng sinabi ko kanina, ladies and gentlemen, example of a music radio script itong gagawin natin. Sinabi ko na ang usual na nakikita sa ating script ay ang technical description. So, nandyan po, BIZ, Biz, insert your station ID. Dance Radio. Then Biz again, insert your opening billboard.
News on the hour
Of the program. Then, it can be canned, intro, or a jingle. Then, kung meron pong signature song, ang inyong programa, ilalagay po ninyo dyan, and then ilalagay din po ninyo yung instruction doon sa technical specialist po ninyo. Gusto nyo ng music up and under, so ilagay po ninyo dyan, music up and under, dahil gusto ninyo na ang inyong signature song ay maging bed po ninyo. Ayan, na si DJ. Hello and welcome to the MAPE Show. We've got loads of classical songs for you today. Okay, so ito na, nag-research na si Sir. O kaya baka nasa LM naman yan. So, these are music written in European tradition from 1750 to 1830, who forms such as the symphony, the concerto or concerto, and sonata were standardized. Let's get started. Okay, nag-research na si Sir. Eto na ang kanyang na-research. Considered by many as the greatest composer in history, here is Johann Sebastian Bach with Minuet in G major. Okay, so ipapatugtog na ni Sir yan. Naglagay na naman siya ng technical instruction, Biz Minuet in G major. Pagkatapos po ng song, yan, pasok na. Biz signature song, music up and under. Pwede kang maglagay dyan ng music up 3 seconds. Kung 3 seconds lang ang gusto mo, kung mas mahaba naman, ilagay mo lang dyan. Okay. Nag-research si Sir ng pinakapamilyar na kanta o tugtog ni Bach. Okay. So, pinili niya ang Minuet in G major. Kasi gusto niya sabihin sa susunod, sounds familiar? Ayan. Then it's because that was used in the film Mr. Holland Opus. Pasok na naman yung mga information, yung facts about Johann Sebastian Bach, German composer and musician of the Baroque period hanggang dyan. And then, next, i-introduce naman niya ang susunod na composer. Okay, moving on, let's enjoy the music of Ludwig van Beethoven. Here's, pumili na naman siya ng isang kanta, then Biz BIZ, nilagay ang kanyang kanta. Then, BIZ again, signature song, music up and under, then magdadagdag na naman ng information si DJ. Ludwig van Beethoven was a German composer and pianist. Hanggang dyan. Then, don't go away. More classical music will come your way after these reminders. Stay connected. Okay, then, maglalagay siya ng infomercial.
Moms!
Tag 3 pataas, Magbonakid Preschool 3+.
Ayan na po yung mga ipinakilala nating mga technical terms a while back, yung Biz Infomercial 1. Kung may title yung infomercial po ninyo, ilagay din po ninyo dyan. Then you have your breaker. Then signature song, music up and under na naman. Then back to Mape Show hanggang sa matapos po ang inyong programa. Ganyan lang po kasimple ang paggamit ng music o type of program sa radyo. At ganon na rin po, pwede rin po natin itong i-adapt sa ating RBI. Next, interview program. Hoy, alam ko, maraming makaka-relate nito. Interview program. Pero paano nga ba ginagamit itong interview program? Interview is essentially a structured conversation where one participant asks question. Yun po yung interviewer. And the other provides answer. Siya naman po yung interviewee. Para hindi ho mahirapan, follow this 6-step pattern. Number 1, pre-interview research. Kailangan nyo ring mag-research. Bakit? You have to write out interesting facts or tentative questions. Dapat meron po kayong mga questions doon para hindi ho kayo mabibigla kung ano yung mga isusunod po ninyong mga tanong. You should know the person and the subject being discussed. Ayan, napakasimple. Pagkatapos po ninyong makapagsulat ng mga questions at pagkatapos po ninyong makilala or kilalanin ang inyong guest, pupunta na tayo sa opening. Ano ho ang laman ng opening? Okay, ito na, nandito na ho tayo sa script. Begin with the brief opening that includes the name of the show, name of the host, name of the guest, and the topic. And there should be a focal point of your presentation. Mamaya ipapakita ko po sa sample na aking ginawa. So, nasa opening po yan. Ano naman po ang laman ng introduction? Ang laman ng introduction is, establish the guest's credentials and welcome your guest. Yan po ang laman ng introduction. Number 4, the question and discussion. Keep in mind po treat guests with dignity and respect. Show that you are interested on what the interview has to say. Hindi po yung hindi pa siya nakakatapos magsabi ng kanyang idea, susunod na naman na tanong. Okay. Use the list of questions as a guide to help you remain in the topic. Yan ho, yung ibig kong sabihin. Guide lang po yung listahan ng mga questions. Baka kasi out of tangent naman yung susunod na question ninyo. Kaya gagamitin lang po ninyong guide yung listahan ninyo ng questions. So, nasa number 4 na po tayo. Nasa interview proper na po yan. Then, take notes during the interview so you can ask follow-up questions. Wala sa listahan ang question. Pero, kinakailangan po ninyong magbigay ng follow-up question doon po sa kanyang sagot. Okay. Next, your goal is, may dalawa, pwedeng to entertain kasi po pwede tayong mag-interview ng celebrity, kaya entertain yon, or to inform, mga resource speakers naman po yan. So your goal in interviewing is to entertain or pwede namang to inform listeners. Okay, so nasa mga 5 minutes na tayo pagkatapos nating nagsimula. So 5, reestablishing. Reintroduce the guest and the topic every 5 minutes. So pagkatapos po ng balitaktakan na 5 minuto, okay, ipakilala po ninyo uli ang inyong guest. O after an infomercial or a break. Ipakilala din po ninyo uli ang inyong guest after ng infomercial or a break. Kailangan po yan. Then number 6, mag-closing na po kayo. Ano po ang laman ng closing? Mention the name of the guest and the topic. Ask for parting words. Give words of gratitude to the guest. Then, if it is complicated, napaka-komplikado po ng inyong pinag-usapan, isummarize po ninyo ang inyong topic. Okay, heto na ang isang example. Okay, paano na naman tayo pipili ng ating lesson na babagay po dito sa interview? Hindi ho, basta gusto mong mag-interview, yun na lang. Dapat pipiliin mo rin. Example sana, si Ma'am Stella. Punta naman tayo sa ESP ngayon, ano? Nakita niya doon sa curriculum guide sa ESP. Kailangan niyang magturo ng konsepto na may kinalaman sa determinasyon, pagtitiis, pagiging matatag. Okay? So naisip niya, gusto kong mag-interview ng isang tao, isang sikat na tao na sa pamamagitan ng kanyang determinasyon, pagtitiis o pagiging matatag, nakamit niya yung kanyang pinapangarap. Okay. So, gagamit ako ngayon ng interview. Susundan lang ni Ma'am Stella kung papaano yung step na sinabi natin. Okay. Maaaring ganito. Biz. Insert OBB of the interview segment. Bakit ho segment ang inilagay ko dyan? Kasi usually, ang interview, hindi ho yan tatagal ng 30 minutes. Yung RBI po natin, 30 minutes yan, di ba? So, ang ilalagay lang natin dyan ay segment. Segment lang po siya. So, insert OBB or opening billboard of the interview segment. Po pwede siyang canned, recorded. Pwede din siyang jingle. Pagkatapos nito, dahil gusto kong gamitin na naman yung signature song ko as my background music, ilalagay ko na naman yung bass. Bakit akong maglalagay? Technician naman ang may hawak niyan. Hindi nga po, tayo nga po ang may mando po niyan. So, bass, signature song, music up and under. Ma'am Stella, hello, good afternoon everyone. Sabi niya, welcome to the interview segment. I am DJ Stella. Who is on the seat today? Maglagay din lang siya ng post. Well, he is one of the hottest guys in showbiz. So nakita po ninyo dyan yung name po ng segment. And then, nariyan po yung pangalan ng DJ. Nariyan din po kung sino na ang guest. Naglagay po siya ng element of surprise. Hindi niya muna nilagay yung pangalan, pero inilagay po niya yung tinatawag po nating establish the guest's credential. O bakit siya? Bakit siya ang pinili mo? Kasi ganito siya. He is one of the hottest guys in showbiz who will be talking about his journey to stardom. He is presently involved in He is presently involved in 4 major filmmaking projects, 3 of which he is also acting in. The 4th one is his directorial debut, and all 4 will be out by end of this year. Additionally, he has recently shot a music video. Good afternoon, Alden Padilla. Welcome to ESP Show, the Celebrity Segment. Ganyan lang po natin ipakilala ang ating guest. Sasagot naman si Alden Padilla. Yan, nilagay na natin AP. Tapos, magtatanong na si DJ. See to it, mga kaibigan, na doon po sa course ng ating pagtatanong, mailalabas po natin yung competency na gusto po nating mailabas, no? Okay, so dito, determinasyon, pagtitiis, pagiging matatag. So, ifo-focus po natin yung mga questions natin doon. So, unang question, what made you decide to pursue a career in entertainment? Bakit hindi iba? Bakit dito? Okay, next. Sasagot si AP. Then, how did you enter showbiz? Sasagot na naman siya. Tell me about a time when you handled a challenging situation. Yan na. Then, was there an instance you wanted to quit? Then, how would you motivate yourself? Alden, give me an example of how you set your goals. Sasagot. Then, what is your greatest personal achievement? What advice do you have for kids who want to be actors, actresses? Describe yourself in 5 words. Then, where do you think you will be 25 years from now? Okay. Then, dahil medyo marami ka nang natanong, gusto mo nang mag-end, o siguro na-fulfill mo naman na yung iyong objective, so magla-lighter note ka naman ngayon. Kasi malapit ka nang mag-end. On the lighter note, Alden, do you believe in love at first sight? Alden will answer after this reminder. Stay connected, kunamit atap no, madimit umalalis jay, listener mo. Yan na naman, maglalagay ka na naman. Then, infomercial 1, breaker, signature song, music up and under kasi ayaw mo talaga na nagsasalita na walang background. Back to ESP Show Celebrity segment here on 106.3 Dance Radio. On focus today is Heartthrob Alden Padilla. Bakit pinakilala po natin siya uli? Kasi nandito po siya sa re-establish. Kailangan po nating i-re-establish yung ating guest after an infomercial or a break. Yan, sinunod lang po natin yan. On the lighter, yan. Back to the question, do you believe in love at first sight? Sasagot siya. Then, mag-last question. I-introduce nyo naman na last question na yon. Then, last question, you may or may not answer. Bakit kasi you may or may not answer? Irespeto naman natin, baka kasi mamaya, 10 pa lang gusto niyang i-date sa Valentine. So, you may or may not answer it. Who would you take on a date this Valentine's Day? Umiwas ng sagot ang ating guest. So, clever answer kung natay may ilatan. That's Alden. Anything you want to tell our listeners? Yan na. Yan po yung tinatawag nating parting words. Parting words. Anything you want to tell our listeners? Kasi baka meron siyang gustong i-plug, no? O kaya meron siyang gustong sabihin, meron siyang gustong batiin. Kaya bigyan natin siya ng pagkakataon. And then after that, magpaalam na tayo. Alden Padilla on the show. Thank you very much for gracing SPA Show Celebrity segment. Back to DJ Rena. Bakit po back to DJ Rena tayo? Kasi segment lang po ito. Maglalast lang po ito ng mga 10 minutes. Then, back to DJ Rena. Doon na ho tayo sa ating RBI. So, paano po natin ito isusulat? Pwede pong from the top, pwede hong mula dito hanggang doon sa back to DJ Rena ay isulat po natin ng separate. Yan, ipiprint po natin siya ng separate tapos ilalagay natin doon idadagdag na lang natin doon sa script natin. Ang gagawin na lang ng script writer, kung gusto nating ihiwalay ito, ay maglagay lang po tayo ng technical instruction na biz, insert, interview segment. Ganun lang po ang ilalagay natin. And then, after that, maglalagay tayo ng biz, tapos music up and under. Kasi ang sabi kanina ni DJ Estela ay back to DJ Rena. Okay, so tapos na po tayo sa ating interview type of program. Kayang-kaya, di ba? Okay, next. Eto na tayo. Last po dito, ang radio play. Eto, lagi nating ginagamit. Napaka-popular po nating ginagamit ito. Nakita ko na po ito, may mga na-QA na rin po tayo, narinig na rin natin noong part 2 ng dry run natin, gumamit sila ng drama, radio play or drama. Okay, ano nga ba yung mga elemento ng radio play? Elements of a radio play. Ito yung mga nagpapagalaw doon po sa radio play natin. Una muna, dapat ay mayroon tayong ginagamit na musika. Bakit po? Ang musika kasi, it sets the mood. It moves the script from scene to scene and place to place. Hindi po natin kinakailangang sabihin scene 1, scene 2, scene 3 dahil yung musika po ang gagamitin nating magsasabi po niyan. Meron nga ho pala kaming ipaparinig mamaya and makikita ninyo, ito lang po kasi ay isang output ng aking mga estudyante ng grade 9 English before 2 years ago yata yon. Meron ako isang nagustuhan, kaya lang ginamit nga niya, hindi niya ginamit yung music. Nagsalita siya ng scene 1, scene 2, scene 3, instead na music po ang kanyang gagawin or gagamitin. Remember po, ang isang use o gamit ng musika is to move the script from scene to scene or from place to place. So, napaka-importante po ng elementong musika. Pangalawa po ay yung tinatawag nating sound. Okay. Pag sound, acoustic of sound environment. Ano po yung acoustic? Alright. Paano po ang sound o boses ng isang tao na nasa loob po ng isang kuweba? Of course, iba yung dating ng kanyang boses. Paano ang dating ng boses ng isang tao na nakikipag-usap gamit ang telepono? Siyempre, iba na naman yon. Paano po pag ang boses na gagamitin mo ay yung gumagamit ng PA system or yung public address system? Paano naman po yung boses niya? O kaya yung pagka nandoon siya sa airport? Yan po ang tinatawag na acoustic of sound environment. How a play is set. So a scene set in a cave is different from a scene set in a room. Sa boses po, yang sound na yan. Next is, sound effects are sound events that helps tell the listener what's going on, but use them sparingly. So, alam na po natin kung ano yung mga sound effects na yan. For example, yung sound ng door na ino-open o kaya close, ganyan. Next is silence. Hoy, hindi ba pag silence kasalanan yan sa radyo? Oo naman, kasalanan yan kasi dead air. Pero may gamit din po ang silence. Una, from a busy scene to silence. Napakalaki po ng impact na yan. Yung ang ingay-ingay tapos bigla na lang wala kang maririnig. Okay. Another is a pause. For uncertainty, refusal to answer question. May tinanong, for example, and then dahil ang sagot ay refusal, of course, hindi mo nasasagot yung tinatanong. Another is beat. Example, sudden realization. And then, may maririnig kang silence. Next is movement. Make characters in the move with some activities. Okay, so maririnig nyo mamaya doon sa radio play. Meron po doong mga instances, or most of the time, gumamit ho sila ng movement. Ito pong movement, ipinapakita rin po niya yung place o kaya kung ano ang iyong ginagawa. For example, nagluluto ka. Maririnig mo doon ang mga sounds ng mga ginagamit mo. For example, sana, palayok, ladle, ganyan. That's movement. Then, number 5 is words. Ang hirap naman yata ng drama na walang words, di ba? Yan ang pinaka-importante. So, words make pictures. Credits nga pala to www.radiosdrama.org.uk. Diyan ko po kinuha ang elements of a radio play. So, again, kailangan ng musika, kailangan ng sound. Under sound, meron ho tayong acoustic of sound environment, then the sound effects that we are going to use. Then, do not hesitate to use silence too. Hindi lang po siya dapat hahaba ng 3 seconds kasi made-dead air po kayo. Then movement, kasama po ng inyong mga salita, kailangan pong may mga sound effects din dyan. Then, words. Okay. So, pointers. Meron ho tayong pointers kung papaano po natin gagamitin ang radio play or drama sa ating radio-based instruction. Credits na naman po to News Blitz. Dito ko po kinuha itong aking sinishare sa inyo ngayon. Number 1, use the dramatic approach. Dramatic approach po ang gagawin natin. Ito po ang atake natin sa pagsusulat ng script natin. Dramatic approach. Next, use the elements of the plot, exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, resolution sa paggawa po ng ating script. Meron po tayong ginawa dito. Yan. Sample plot. Of course, credit to News Blitz. Kinopya ko lang po ito. Eto yan, exposition. Ito po kasi ay tungkol sa aralin ng science. Tungkol po ito sa segregation. Basura. Exposition, nagrereklamo si Lolo Ando sa mga abubot ni Lola Isyang. So, from there, gagawa na po kayo ng series of dialogues. Establish na po yan ninyo yan. Number 2, rising action. Nagsagutan ang dalawang matanda, si Lolo Ando at saka si Lola Isyang. Then, sa climax niya, dumating si Jaja at nagbigay ng paliwanag kay Lola Isyang. Dito na po sa mga pagpapaliwanag na ito, ninyo po pwedeng ilagay yun pong mga facts or mga concept na gusto po ninyong ipaliwanag sa inyong mga tinuturuan. Dumating si Jaja at nagbigay ng paliwanag kay Lola Isyang. Then falling action, naintindihan ni Lola Isyang ang naging problema dahil sa paliwanag ni Jaja. Then, the resolution part, nagtulungan sila sa pagbabawas ng basura sa bahay. So, yan po ay sample ng plot. So, from there, gagawa na po kayo ng dialogue hanggang sa matapos po ninyo sa resolution. Okay. So, number 2 po tayo, yan ang use the elements of the plot. Okay. Number 3, structure. So, ang gagamitin po nating approach, dramatic approach, structure. Usually po, itong radio drama ay ginagamit natin kahit mga 30 minutes siguro po pwede. So, sa structure, pag gagamitin po natin for a 30-minute broadcast, nakasama na po sa script yung objective of the lesson. Nandyan na si radio teacher. I-define niya ang objective of the lesson. Then after that, you establish the significance of the lesson. And then, provide an overview of the story. Kasama po ito sa script na inyo pong gagawin. Objective of the lesson, significance of the lesson, overview of the story. Hindi ko alam kung si host ang gagawa niyan o kung si radio teacher. Bahala na po kayo. And then, pag na-provide na po yung tatlong yan, ipasok na po ninyo si story, si drama po ninyo, yung ginawan po ninyo ng plot. Okay. Present the plot creatively based on a day-to-day experience. Find the perfect spot to discuss necessary concept. Yan po, yung sinabi ko kanina. Dito po ninyo ipapasok yung mga concept na gusto po ninyong ipaliwanag sa inyong mga estudyante. But, hindi naman ratatatatatat, bigay lahat. Find the perfect spot to discuss necessary concept. And of course, you present a solution to the problem. Kasali po lahat yan doon sa gagawin po ninyong radio play. Doon sa gagawin po ninyong drama. Now, after that, maipresent po ninyo yung drama, magsa-summarize naman si radio teacher. Provide a recap or the repetition of concepts. And do not forget assessment. Use questions to ponder. Katulad nito, ginagawa niyo ba ang mga ito sa inyong tahanan? Ano ba yung mga ito na tinatawag dyan? Ano? Okay. Ginagawa niyo ba ang mag-segregate sa inyong tahanan? Ganyan. Alright. So, paano po natin isisingit yung story? Balik po tayo dito. So, sa structure. Doon ho tayo sa structure. So, si radio teacher o kaya si host, i-define niya ang objective of the lesson. Of course, usual na greetings na siya, no? And then i-define na yung objective, i-define niya yung significance of the lesson, provide an overview of the story, and then, in a separate sheet, ipreprint po niya yung laman ng radio drama. Kaya, iikli po yon. Yung radio drama nasa ibang script po yan. Alright. And then, ang ilalagay na lang po na technical instruction after providing an overview of the story is sulat ni scriptwriter, biz, and then insert radio play segregation. Kung segregation yung kanyang title. Okay, so andali-dali. And then, pagbalik niya, pagkatapos po ng kanyang drama, so nalagay mo, insert radio play, then maglalagay ka na naman uli ng insert music up and under, and then back to the DJ or back to the radio teacher. Ano naman ang gagawin ni radio teacher? Provide a recap, repetition of concepts, then use questions to ponder, and then tsaka siya mag-goodbye. Yung spiel niya, yung introduction tuloy, yung extra niya, maglalagay naman siya doon. Then, tapos po ang RBI based on radio play. Okay. So, dyan po nagtatapos ang aking task. So, thank you very much for listening. On deck is the gorgeous, kind, beautiful teacher, Beverlyn Ramirez.
Thank you. Okay, magandang buhay mga kadans. I hope that you are all safe from COVID and safe from anything. We've been through a lot because of the threats brought by this COVID-19 pandemic, but of course, we still have many reasons to smile. And one of that is that today we shall be learning a new thing again, because I believe that every day is always a new day to learn something new. So, this is just a continuation of Ma'am Susan's presentation a while ago. From her session, you've learned how to use radio play as well as conducting interview for you to deliver some lessons in the different subjects that you are handling. For this session, still on adopting script writing format from radio programs for RBI, I shall be discussing or I shall be sharing with you two ways on how to deliver our lessons, or ways that we could use aside from the way na ginagamit ng ating school, yung format na fina-follow natin sa ating pagtuturo using the radio. But of course, before we move further, I just would like to give you some basic tips that you should remember in writing a script using the two radio programs or the two radio formats that I shall be sharing for you today. First is, always remember this, iba po kasi ang pagsulat ng script or articles, specifically if it will be printed in the newspaper compared to if it is for radio. So always remember, tip number 1, write for radio, not for print. Paano po yon? Always remember this acronym, KISS IT. Or for some, they would just say KISS, which means keep it short and simple. Kung di pa rin naintindihan, keep it short, stupid. Joke lang po. Ano pong ibig sabihin nun? Since we are writing a script for radio, it should be short. All the important details that the listeners should know are presented, and simple kasi we should only use simple words, easy to understand words, avoid highfalutin words, and direct to the point. Next. Okay. Why do we need to keep it short? Usually, there is a corresponding time for the words that we use in our script. So, pag 25 words na yung nasa script mo, that would mean makakagamit ka na ng 10 seconds. 45 words, 20 seconds. 65, 30 seconds. 100 words, 45 seconds. And 60 seconds for 125 words. Since sa radio po kasi, time is very important. Kaya, the shorter, the better. Of course, another tip is for us to follow the required format. Here in our school, we have our own format. May tatak tayo na pag nakita natin yung script natin, alam natin agad na that is for Donyan teachers' use. Okay, another is, in writing articles or the script for one of the programs or formats that I shall be sharing with you, particularly the news, we need to follow this outline. Paano po siya? Of course, hindi natin kakalimutan ang station ID na alam po natin. And of course, pag sa news kasi, dapat palagi siyang may time check. Check natin. It's already 10 o'clock in the morning. Mga ganong bagay. And then, papasok na natin ang ating news plug. And of course, the introduction or the opening spiel. Then we have the headlines. So we usually hear our announcers would say sa ulo ng mga nagbabagang balita. Or for today's headlines, blah 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 blah. And after presenting the headlines, isa-isa na pong i-present yung mga detalye ng mga headlines. And after the details, the introduction, or the closing statement. Yan po yung outline na ating i-follow. Of course, when we write news, specifically in our scripts, or when we write our script for radio, we should write conversationally as if we are just talking to a friend. Hindi yung nagagalit. Dapat very conversational. And always remember these things. Alam na po natin to, very basic. Use dashes for acronyms that are spelled out. So we write the words in our script the way we want our host or the announcer or the broadcaster later to read that word. So you write it this way for aids because we want our reader to read it as aids. But it will be different for NBI. Meron po siyang hyphen para pag binasa nung host later, he would read it as NBI. Another. Of course, never syllabicate to avoid confusion on the part of the reader. So for example, nasan po dyan ang synllabicate? If a word contains a double consonant, the sila, yon, nagsyllabicate yung writer. Syllable should not be divided between the two consonants. Pwedeng ibaba na lang yung sila para mag-join sila nung balls sa baba. Or if kasya pa yung ball sa taas, syllables. Okay, next. Of course, there's a need for us to avoid cliches or groaners. Ito yung mga worn-out statements na pwede naman na nating gamitin yung mas bagong version. So instead of saying, here are the latest and hottest news of the day, we'll just say, here are today's top stories. Okay. Another is, don't be repetitive. Instead, use the lead-in. Kung sa reporter's lead, sasabihin niya, Hindi maikubli ang tuwa ni Juan de la Cruz matapos tanggapin ang plake ng pagkilala mula sa kanyang paaralan. Para sa ating script for radio, your lead-in should be, pinarangalan ang isang mag-aaral ng Doña Aurora National High School matapos itong mag-uwi ng gintong medalya sa katatapos na International Research Conference sa Singapore. Yan. Another is, mention only the necessary. Of course, lengthy and detailed inclusive stories should be left to the newspapers. Take note, meron po tayong time frame na fina-follow sa radyo. So, always remember, the shorter, the better. As long as all the details that our listeners are already presented. Wala na pong paikot-ikot pa. Okay, another. Yan. Next is, of course, alam na alam po natin ito, estimate when it comes to number. Pag sa print po, sa newspaper, sabihin nila, 193 students, mas madali pong matatandaan ng ating listeners pag sinabi natin na nearly 200 students. So, mag-estimate po tayo kung ano yung mas malapit. Next. Spell out. Sulat po natin ng buo, yung numbers 1 to 10. After that, words na po siya. So, 11 pataas, you write them, numbers na po siya. 1 to 10 lang po ang words. Next. Okay. So, one format that we can follow or we can use in delivering lessons to our students, most especially yung mga lessons na nagpe-present ng mga social issues, ay through the use of the news or balita. What is this? Of course, when we talk about news, it's very important for us to remember the structure of news. So nakikita po natin in my presentation, that's what we call an inverted pyramid, and for some, they would say it's an inverted triangle. So taas niya, you can find the primary lead. Nakikita po natin pababa siya kasi descending. Yung sa taas, sa primary lead, there you can find the most important details, and habang bumababa po siya, nakikita natin yung less important details. And usually in the primary lead, very basic questions are already answered. Ano po yung mga yon? Yung 5 W's and 1 H. Then the secondary lead will just be a supporting detail to explain the primary lead, and then other important details are found below our news article. Yan. Of course, in news writing, always remember this: 1 sentence, 1 paragraph. Okay. I repeat, in news writing, 1 sentence, 1 paragraph. So pag sinabi kong you write a 5 paragraph news story, ibig sabihin po nun, 5 sentences lang siya. Okay. So that is for news story or news article. Next. Now, how do you write script for radio as compared to news articles found in our newspapers? So pag sa newspaper, for example, sabihin ni news writer, sa under print po yan, to equip teachers with the technical know-how of radio-based instruction, the Doña Aurora National High School conducted a 2-day webinar on RBI, August 10. Pang newspaper po yan. Pag sa radio, if you notice, nahati po yung idea sa 2 sentences, pero still, the ideas found on the news article found on newspaper are the same. Bakit po? To give the breather dun sa nagbabasa ng ating balita for the radio. So, sabihin niya dito, Doña Aurora National High School conducted a 2-day webinar on radio-based instruction on August 10. The training aims to equip teachers with the technical know-how of producing lessons for radio. Yan, mas madali. Hindi po hindi po mahirapan yung magbabasa na hinahabol na niya yung kanyang hininga habang dinedeliver niya yung kanyang balita. Another example, yan, sa Filipino naman. Para sa diaryo or newspaper, the news writer would say, upang mahasa ang kakayahan ng mga guro sa paggawa ng mga kagamitang pampagkatuto gamit ang radyo, isinagawa ng Doña Aurora National High School ang 2 araw na pagsasanay sa radio-based instruction noong ika-10 ng Agosto. Ayan, hinahabol ko na yung hininga ko kasi nga pang print siya. Pero pag it will be on air sa radyo, napansin natin, medyo nahati na naman yung idea niya para hindi mahirapan yung host later na magbabasa ng balita. So, naging ganito siya. Isinagawa ng Doña Aurora National High School ang 2 araw na pagsasanay sa radio-based instruction noong ika-10 ng Agosto. Layunin nitong mapalawak ang kakayahan ng mga guro sa paggawa ng mga kagamitang pampagkatuto gamit ang radyo. Nakita niyo po ba yung pagkakaiba? Yan po. Course, when we write our script for a radio news program, parehas lang po tayo ng script para dun sa ginagawa natin for our RBI, may mga pagkakaiba lang po. Medyo mas seryoso po kasi ang magiging dating. Siyempre, meron din po tayong slagline, alam na po natin yan. Music cue na i-present kanina ni Ma'am Susan. Of course, our station ID, nakalagay na doon kung anong frequency, anong pangalan ng radio station. Tapos, syempre, meron din siyang program title. Okay, next. Ayan. So, ipapasok na natin ang ating time check. Then, mag-i-intro na si host or yung kanyang opening spiel. Sabi niya, "Good morning, Isabella. Today is Tuesday, the 13th of September. This is Antonino Burgos, your partner for the service." Tapos, babasahin niya na yung kanyang headline. For today's headline, or for today's news, ex-PIDEA Chief Santiago is new drugs board chair and blah blah blah. And of course, after the headlines, pwedeng merong papasok na music bed, then babasahin na yung mga details ng news. Okay. So, following the tips that I have mentioned a while ago, here is an example of a news for radio. Pag meron na po tayo nito, ipapasok lang natin siya dun sa ating format. So, very short. The sentences are very short. And if you notice, 1 sentence lang siya. So, ito na yung ating 5-paragraph news. Ang notion po kasi natin, pag sinabi nating paragraph, it is composed of more than 1 sentence. Pero sa pagsulat ng balita, 1 sentence, 1 paragraph. So let me read to you our sample news article for radio. Firefight broke out in the main battle area of Marawi City on Monday as government forces prepared for a final push against the ISIS-linked Maute group. Military and police attempted to flush out the remaining forces of Maute, Abu Sayyaf, and ISIS out of buildings, including the 4-story CMD Center Point Mall. Nakita niyo po, yung CMD na isulat siya with hyphen kasi the writer would like the host or the broadcaster to read it that way, CMD. According to Brigadier General Restituto Padilla, military has pushed rebel forces and their snipers out of tall buildings and attempted to reduce the 20-hectare territory of the Maute as they entered the 112th day of combat. Military intelligence revealed Friday that only Omar Khayyam Maute of the Maute brothers may be left in Marawi City with Abu Sayyaf leader Esnilon Hapilon, Padilla added. Meanwhile, President Rodrigo Duterte remains firm against any negotiation Maute group for the release of their hostages. Okay, so yun po yung para sa news format. Another way is the use of the editorial format. Paano naman po to? Of course, mas seryoso na naman po ito at mas formal comparing to that of using the news format. What is an editorial? An editorial is a concise expression of facts and opinion or an analytical interpretation of significant and timely topic or issues. Usually, yung mga nakikinig po sa Bombo Radio and any other FM, AM stations na nagde-deliver ng balita, may mga editorial portion po sila at usually ang ginagawa nila ng editorial ay yung pinaka-importanteng balita para sa araw na yon. In their editorial, they are presenting the radio station stand on that particular issue. For example, noon, patok na patok yung balita ng balik probinsya ni Senator Bongo. For example, sa isang radio station, ibabalita yung tungkol doon, and if that is considered as the most important news of the day, ang editorial ng radio station na yon ay tungkol sa kung okay ba sila doon sa idea na yon or hindi. Ngayon, paano naman natin siya i-apply sa ating pagde-deliver ng ating lesson? Ano ba yung mga subjects or ano yung mga lessons na pwede nating gawan ng balita and at the same time gawan ng editorial? For example, sa AP 10, natatandaan ko ang lesson nila ay mga kontemporaryong issues. Kaya maraming mga topics dyan na pwede nilang i-deliver through news. And at the same time, pwede rin nilang i-present yung kanilang stand tungkol sa mga balitang yon. Bawa yung massive unemployment kasi nga nagsara yung mga companies ngayon because of the COVID-19 pandemic, mga problems sa labor, mga ganon. Ano pa yung mga subject na pwedeng gawan ng balita and at the same time, pwede ding gawan ng editorial. Diba sa MAPE, sa health, ang balita mo ay tungkol sa COVID-19, ang magiging editorial mo ay pwedeng anong dapat natin gawin para hindi dumami yung positive cases sa ating lugar. Okay, sabi nga dito, if an editorial is well written, it can be a vital force to make changes and reforms. Na mag-iisip yung mga makakarinig, o nga no, tama nga yung point ng radio station na yan. Tama nga yung point ng broadcaster na yan. Dapat ganito yung gagawin. Okay, moving on. What are the elements of an editorial? Course, number 1 is it should be based on an issue. Ano ba yung issue na pinag-uusapan? For example, maraming mga laborers ang nawalan ng trabaho at hindi sila bigyan ng separation pay. Gagawa ka ngayon ng stand mo doon. Okay ba yon na ginawa nung company na yon? So, yung issue doon, yung pagpapaalis sa mga trabahador na hindi binigyan ng separation pay, for example. There should be a group or a cluster of minds analyzing an issue. Sa newspaper po kasi, usually, hindi lang isa ang gumagawa ng editorial. Ito ay pwedeng, hindi lang yung editor-in-chief. Ito ay pwedeng gawin ng ilang katao. Kung naalala natin, our former Governor Grace Padaka, isa siya sa pinaka-magagaling for me na gumawa ng editorial during her time as a radio personality. Pwede rin galing lang din siya sa isang tao, tapos pwede ding magbigay ng idea yung ibang mga kasama niya sa trabaho. There should be a stand. Of course, this is very important because an editorial will never become an editorial without this. Ano ba yung stand? Ano ba yung stand mo? Against ka ba doon sa ginawa nila na pagpapatalsik doon sa mga trabahador na wala silang separation pay? Or okay lang sa'yo? Siyempre, wala naman kasing choice, for example. Dahil nga nagsara yung isang company. And of course, for you to prove your stand, there should be pieces of evidences that you can show in your editorial. Ano po itong mga to? Ito yung mga results ng survey, statistics that would show na nalulugi na yung company, kaya kailangan patalsikin yung mga, or paalisin, sorry for that term, patalsikin, paalisin yung mga laborers kasi nga nalulugi na yung company, And syempre, ipipresent ano na ba yung kita and everything. So those will serve as pieces of evidences. Okay. What are the parts of an editorial? Of course, there are only 4 parts. There should be a title. Title which gives the gist or the summary of the topic. For example, it's all about vandals. Yan yung title. Pwede rin siyang 2 or 3 words lang. Short pa rin. Okay. The second part is the introduction, which contains the newspeg and the reaction. An introduction can be a thought-provoking question, a striking statement, or narration of the event. Kung ang title natin ay Vandals, ang introduction niya ay ganito. The walls of Maviuk State College have a new coat of paint and are presently clean. Whether they retain their present state of cleanliness depends almost entirely on the students. After the introduction, ipapasok na natin ngayon yung kanyang body, which presents the factual details to bolster the opinion or principle of the newspaper on the given issue. Arguments are arranged from the most significant to the least significant. Dito na natin ipapasok ano ba yung mga evidences mo to support your claim in your first part or in your introduction. Ang issue doon ay, kasi if we go back, ang issue ay merong new coat of paint, tapos malinis. Mareretain kaya ng mga estudyante ang kalinisan ng kanilang paaralan? It depends on them. Okay, sa body, sabi niya, the first spots appeared as a result of negligent student leaning against the walls and scraping the soles of their shoes on them. Kaya pala malinis kasi tumatambay yung mga estudyante doon tapos ini-scrape. Kaya nag-iba na yung kulay ng pintura. The Student Government Council revealed that 6 out of 10 buildings are written with unnecessary statements. What will our visitors say? According to an observant parent, MCNs more than any other group of students abuse their building. This report, whether true or otherwise, should serve as a challenge. That's the body to prove the claim in the introduction and ganda ng kanyang conclusion. A conclusion presents a solution. Anong dapat gawin? A plea, an advice, or a command could also be a thought-provoking question, could also forecast possible effects and quotation relevant to the subject or just a summary. Ang kanyang conclusion, will the walls remain clean? Of course, kung ako yung mababasa, oo nga no, ano gagawin ko para mapanatili yung kalinisan sa aming paaralan? And it will move the reader or the listener to do something about it. Okay, yan po ang ating editorial. Okay, so for example, my last example here is, kung ang balita ko ay ganito, talks about COVID-19, so pwede natin i-discuss to sa ating health, or pwede din pong sa science. Ang ating headline ay, Philippine logs 3,000 new COVID-19 cases, tally nearing 240,000. Confirmed coronavirus disease cases in the Philippines surged to 240,000 after the Department of Health reported almost 3,000 daily cases on Tuesday. The DOH said that the number of recoveries also rose to 185,000 after it reported 286 more patients have survived the disease. The DOH added that 26 more patients have died from the viral disease, bringing the death toll to 3,900. The department said it has tested over 2.68 million people so far. A team of experts from the University of the Philippines said the 2-week strict quarantine measures implemented by the government in Metro Manila and nearby provinces last month greatly contributed to reducing the number of COVID-19 cases. Despite the positive developments, Duterte has expressed caution, urging the people to remain vigilant and not let complacency overwhelm and reduce their sacrifices to naught. Take note, ang issue ay tungkol sa pagtaas ng mga positive cases ng COVID-19 sa Pilipinas. Ngayon, gusto natin siyang gawa ng editorial, so pwede nating gawin ito. Okay. So here is the editorial. Kung sa balita pala, one sentence, one paragraph sa editorial, pwede na pong ang isang paragraph ay one sentence or pwedeng two, pwedeng three sentences. Naintindihan po? Sa balita, one sentence, one paragraph. Pero sa editorial, para siyang essay na ang isang sentence or isang paragraph ay isang sentence or pwedeng it is composed of two or three sentences. I hope I made myself clear. Okay, example ng editorial na based dun sa balitang i-present ko kanina. 6 months after Metro Manila and the rest of Luzon went under enhanced community quarantine, the Philippines' harshest level of restriction in the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, we appear now to be on a downward trend in the number of infections. Defense Secretary Delphine Lorenzana, chairman of the National Task Force Against COVID-19, said Saturday that 3,000 daily infections were reported last Friday, September 4, compared to 10,000 cases the week before. The Department of Health had a similarly encouraging report. In the week from August 29 to September 4, the DOH said daily cases range from 1,900 to 4,200. This was so much better than the figures for late July to early August, when 5,000 to 7,000 cases daily were being reported. On the same day that Secretary Lorenzana reported the lowering of Philippine cases, the World Health Organization reported France registered 8,975 new cases in the past 24 hours, the highest figure since the pandemic started in France in March. Paris and other French cities have started requiring face masks in all public areas, WHO said. The WHO noted the efforts of some countries like Russia and the United States to rush the widespread use of vaccines they have developed, but it is stressed that it would not endorse any vaccine that has not been proven safe and effective. The Russian and US vaccines, along with the vaccines in the United Kingdom and China, are still in their final trials, involving tens of thousands of people. From the original ECQ, Metro Manila graduated to modified ECQ on May 16, to General CQ on June 1, back to MECQ on August 4, then a return to GCQ on August 19. Last September 1, Metro Manila remained GCQ. It should graduate to modified DCQ, the next lower level of restrictions if conditions kept improving. Our hospitals have been able to cope with a big number of cases in our country, so that of the total of 237,365 cases in the country, almost 185,000 had recovered while nearly 3,900 died. The world COVID-19 picture remains unclear and is likely to remain so until mass vaccination begins worldwide, but that may come only around the middle of next year. Until that time, we must carry on with the efforts we have been carrying out in our country, which appear to be working. Okay, so yun po yung pagkakaiba ng paggamit ng balita at paggamit ng editorial sa ating pagde-deliver ng mga lessons natin for radio-based instruction. Okay, so in parting, I just would like to give you this. Despite the threats of COVID-19, we can do this. We're teachers and we are born to make a difference. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.
We are still on the second day of our school-based seminar in adapting different radio programs in making RBI script. So, Ma'am Susan discussed a while ago on how to write a script and different radio programs such as radio play and interview. And Ma'am Beverlyn also tackled about making a script using a format of news and news editorial. So today I am tasked to discuss with you what is talk show, significance, tips on how to write a script for your radio event, and of course, a simple template. What is talk show? So first, a talk show or chat show is a television programming or radio programming genre structured around the act of spontaneous conversation. In a talk show, one person or a group of people or guests discusses various topics put forth by a talk show host. The discussion can be in the form of an interview or a simple conversation about important social, political, and religious issues and events. The personality of the host shapes the tone of the show, which also defines the trademark of the show. So, napaka-importante po ang host dito dahil siya yung driver, siya yung piloto kung saan tatahak, saan ang patutunguhan ng usapan ng programa. Okay. So, halimbawa, si Boy Abunda, yung Tonight with Boy Abunda sa TV naman, ano po, sa kanyang programa, lagi niyang sinasabi doon, bago magpaalam, make your nanay proud. Yan. So, yan ang isa sa mga trademark ng kanyang show. A common feature or unwritten rule of talk shows is to be based on fresh talk, which is talk that is spontaneous or has the appearance of spontaneity. So, why fresh talk? Fresh kasi hindi napaghandaan ang mga tanong sa bisita sa program. Okay? So, kaya yung mga kasagutan niya, yung mga ibabahagi ng bisita po sa programa ay talagang fresh galing sa kanyang puso. Kaya parang prutas yan na bagong pitas, fresh, no? Bagong labas. Okay. The history of the talk show spans back from the 1950s to current. Okay, so yan po, 1950s. So, that was during the reign of President L.P.G. Quirino from 1946 to 1961 of the Third Republic of the Philippines, when America granted us the independence after the 10-year transitional period. Talk shows can also have several different subgenres, which all have unique material and can air at different times of the day via different avenues. Ano bang ibig sabihin ng genre? A category of artistic composition, as in music, ito ba ay musical? In literature ba? Horror, comedy, or drama, ganyan, or tragedy. So, air at different times kasi meron tayong mga morning talk shows, meron tayong sa gabi naman po, nighttime. Sa umaga, example dito po yung magandang buhay. Yun. Talk shows involve a host responsible for furthering the agenda of the show by remediating, instigating, and directing the conversation to ensure the purpose is fulfilled. So, yan, napakalaki po. Sabi ko nga kanina, napakahalaga ang role ng host dahil siya yung magda-direct, no? Kung hanggang saan patutungo ang kanilang usapan ng kanyang bisita. At syempre, dapat hanggang sa mailabas ng kanyang bisita kung ano yung talagang dapat na mapalabas na impormasyon o importanteng data tungkol sa issue na pinag-uusapan. Although talk shows include guests of various expertise levels, they cater to the credibility of one's experiences and rationalities as opposed to educational expertise. So dito po, okay, sabi nga natin, experience is the best teacher. Ano yung mga experience? Dapat dito lalabas through the talk show, lalabas dito yung mga karanasan, no, ng bisita tungkol sa bagay na pinag-uusapan. Okay. Kasi doon tayo matututo sa mga experience. Hindi lang tayo natututo sa experience natin, kundi sa experience mismo ng ating kapwa-tao. 'Di ba? Oh. Wise person ka daw pag hindi ka lang natututo sa iyong sariling karanasan, kundi sa karanasan din ng iba. Okay. Guests, audiences, and hosts take turns exchanging dialogue in talk shows. So, dito po sa talk show, yung natural na pag-uusap, exchanging dialogue. So, yun po, yung what is all about talk show. Okay, and then, of course, bakit nga ba mahalaga ang talk show sa paggawa po natin ng script sa ating lesson? So the purpose of talk shows is to either address or bring awareness to conflicts, to provide information, or to entertain. So yun po yung pinaka dahilan kung bakit po nagsasagawa tayo ng talk show, or yun yung pipiliin natin na program para dun sa gagawin nating script. Okay? Halimbawa sa lesson mo ay about sa mga di pagkakaunawaan, labanan, ganyan. So, you can use that. And then, saan nga ba nag-ugat yung di pagkakaunawaan na yan? So, yun, dapat lalabas doon. Ano po? Ano yung ugat? Ano yung epekto? And of course, kung paano susolusyonan. Yun yung pinaka-importante po dyan, kung paano malulutas ang suliranin o di pagkakaunawaan. And of course, to provide information. So, imbes na naglalahad ka doon ng mga konsepto na binabasa mo, ganon, or nagnanarrate ka, so you can use through talk show. So, depende sa topic. Halimbawa, ang topic mo sa science is about sa mga scientists, no, yung mga naimbento nila. Ayan. So pwedeng ang gagawin, you can use talk show bilang approach mo doon sa script mo. Wherein, paano naman ma'am kung patay na yung inventor, no sir? Syempre, kaya nga, nagpapasalamat tayo dahil na-imbento po ang time machine. Yon. So, pwede mong gamitin ngayon sa iyong script yung time machine. Na kung saan babalik tayo doon sa panahon na yon na buhay siya. Yon. Yung inventor na yon. O kaya yung tao na yon na sangkot doon sa topic mo. Halimbawa sa AP naman, geografiya. Yan. So, pwede ang gagamitin mo dito na bisita mo sa talk show ay isang geographer. Ganyan, no? So, ganon. Sample lang po doon. And then, to entertain, yan. Kung comedy naman, gusto mo naman ng yung masaya ang iyong topic, in presenting your topic, so you can have also that genre, which is comedy. So, how to write a script for your radio event. Yan. So, meron po tayong 5 tips, on how to write a script for your live radio event or talk show. Okay. First is, write your script for speaking. Yan. Writing your script for how you speak instead of writing it as if you are going to be reading it will help keep your scripts natural sounding. So, alam na natin yon. Then, number 2, paint pictures with your words. So describe well the pictures in a way that the listeners will capture it exactly. Then number 3, keep it concise. Give informations clearly in few words. Okay. So brief but comprehensive. Alam na po natin yan. Then number 4, give yourself flexibility. So napaka-importante po ito. Dapat flexible po tayo, ano? You should show your ability to be easily modified or manifest willingness to change or compromise. Kailangan nandun yung handa nating tanggapin kung ano man yung mga pagbabago na yan. And then, end of segment. So, laging nandoon ang ating ending, pagtatapos. Okay? Concluding statement natin na patapos na yung ating talk show. Okay? So, nandun po sa script. Ilalagay po natin yon. Okay? Ano ba yung mga topics na pwedeng gawan natin ng radio show? Okay, sa TLE ito, halimbawa number 1 is food. Okay, kung ang topic nyo po ay mga pagkain, recipe, di ba? Yung mga nagluluto. So, pwedeng ang bisita mo dito, yung mga talagang experts sa cooking. Then, number 2, beauty and fashion. Ayan. So, kung ang topic mo ay related dito sa beauty and fashion, you can have an interview doon sa mga expert na sa larangan na yan. Then, number 3, literature and arts. Okay, 4, business talk, show topics. Okay, then 5, educative talk show topics. 6, hobbies. 7, health. Then, family, marriage, and kids. Yan. Kung ang topic mo naman ay tungkol sa pamilya and marriage. So, mamaya mapapanood nyo yung sample ng talk show or mapakikinggan. Ang topic po nila is about marriage. Okay. So, ito naman po yung simpleng template para po sa talk show or radio talk show. So, una, syempre, introduction by the host or moderator. So, i-introduce po ng host or moderator yung programa and of course, yung kanyang sarili. So, halimbawa, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Okay, depende sa oras kung anong oras po natin i-ere po yon, ano? Okay. And then, pakilala mo na yung sarili mo. I'm Teacher Bernadette and you are listening to our program. Halimbawa, ano ba yung program? Kung talk show yung gagawin mo doon, mag-isip ka rin ng title ng program na syempre related doon sa topic mo. Okay? So today, we'll be talking about kung anong issue, COVID-19, ganyan. So depende kung ano yung topic mo. Okay. We will be talking about the geography of the earth. Yan, geografiya ng daigdig. Sa AP naman po. Alright. So, ganon. Okay. And then, number 2 is, ayun na, introduction to the guest or guests, kung marami sila. Okay. Halimbawa, sasabihin mo doon, to better understand this event or topic, we have here with us in our show Mr. kung sino po yung bisita mo, to discuss the matter. Yan. So, i-introduce muna po yung bisita mo. And then, syempre, pagsalitain mo na siya. And, doon na, papasok na yung kabuuan ng interview or pag-uusap. And, of course, pinakalas yung concluding statement by the host. So, i-recap, no? I-recap na niya kung ano yung mga napag-usapan nila. Ganyan. At syempre, huwag nating kalimutan na pasalamatan kung sino man yung naging bisita natin. Okay? So, yun po ang talk show. Simple lang po yung topic natin. Thank you very much for listening. And God bless us all.